You're like, this post didn't do well. I only had one view. It's Jouhayna. I really like the show. It comes with a lot of research that you've done. Yeah. So, good job.
You're like, this was made for me.
You said you love to piss people off on the internet.
I love you.
Thank you. Oh, you need one pebble to go on the bike and you're dead.
I am unemployed.
And I was like, astaghfirullah. Guilty pleasure. It's also watching Netflix, but
Or of the trash TV side.
for his 30th birthday, I was like, I'm buying you a motorcycle. So I'm like, what that you have? If I can, no. Yeah, I don't know why I had this. Why control one aircraft when I can control them all? I know what people are charging, but I'm on stage, lockjaw. I could see my eye bags with the satellite. You know? It's so nice not to have you in bite-sized form. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Press Pause with Jouhayna. On today's episode, I have Shahad AlSharhan, or you may know her as Khadijat. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you for literally messaging me and saying you like the show. And I was like, Gianna, come on.
I really like the show.
Yeah.
Wallah, I love the fact that there's like Emirati women who are like doing something like this. You know what I mean? And especially in an English language, because I feel like there's a lot in Arabic.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's because I'm disadvantaged. So I'm mixed race. My mother is Tanzanian. My father is Emirati.
Oh, mashallah.
So they spoke to each other in English.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was raised speaking English because that was the mutual language in the household. And yeah, so my disadvantage is what
Became an advantage.
Exactly. It did become an advantage. Even with my career, like air traffic control, this is the only government program that said we only want English. I was like,
You're like, this was made for me. Like,
I don't care how hard it is. I will show up and do it. So yeah, so thank you so much for coming on the show. Would you like to introduce yourself to everyone who doesn't already know you?
Oh, I mean, if you don't know, I'm just kidding. I'm like, if you don't know me. No, my name is Shahid and I am a content creator. I am from Kuwait, but I grew up in Dubai. And yeah, my content is just about my life and things I'm interested in. I can't even define what type of content I do because it's everything.
It is everything. For me, I feel like you're my UAE version of like CNN. Like instead of listening to the news, because it stresses me out.
Yeah.
I have the most stressful job in the world, but what actually really stresses me out is listening to the news. I'm like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Especially right now with everything that's going on. So when I want to understand what happened, like even with the US election, I'm like, just go to your profile. I'm like, she's explained everything already. And then I have one of my close friends who's from the States. And I was like, now I understand why you're upset about the elections.
You're like, because of this.
Exactly. Okay. Also, you break it down so easily. But I can also tell, even though you speak effortlessly, it comes with a lot of research that you've done.
Yeah.
So good job. And I love it. I'm excited to every time you post anything, and I love staycations and you post staycations. So
like I said, I post about anything that I like, and I post about whatever my hyperfixation takes me to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I get obsessed with something, I research, and then I'm like, maybe I'll make a video.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's great because I feel like we align on hyperfixations because you like all the things I like. So I actually have like 2 Instagram save, like, you know, I can save a post on Instagram. Yes. So I have one with my best friend and have one with my husband. And I'm like going away with Habibi and Habibti. So half of the posts are actually from Coral, the ex-Bihan, and from yours. I'm like, oh, look at all these places they're going. So
we're like, we're going to go here, here, here.
Exactly. And I was like, all right, if you don't want to go splitsies, I'm going with my best friend. So
yeah, I'm glad that, because like, you know, as a content creator, it's sometimes that you post things, you see numbers, but you don't know if it's actually reaching people or if because it just feels like you're posting into the abyss.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, if you ever have only one view, it's just me. And this is the effect you have. You're like, this post didn't do well. I only had one view. It's Jouhayna.
Allah, I love you. Thank you. That means the world, because like I said, I don't have a full-time job. My job now is my content creations. I just sit at home.
Yeah.
Like I don't have coworkers.
You don't have a full-time job. You are a housewife. You're
yes.
What's it called? Your latest job is housewife.
Yes. Look. Like I'm just gonna 1 second. Like
switch that coconut water.
Yeah. Look, I am unemployed, but it sounds so much better to say that I chose the unemployed life on purpose. So I say I'm a housewife.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but Look, it comes with its, I really enjoy the job right now, even though I'm like not making money, but I really enjoy it. Like it brings me so much happiness. But the only downside is that you're alone. It's very lonely. You know what I mean? So that's why when you say like, oh, you know, like I love your videos, I'm like, oh, there are people. One.
Because you said you love to piss people off on the internet.
I do.
So I enjoy your posts. I'm like, oh, she's so funny. And people are like, article fans. And I'm like, oh, softy.
Yeah, there are a lot of, you know, it used to hurt me. Now I'm just like, yeah, everyone's going to get offended.
To be honest, also we have to do the rapid fire round.
Yes.
We were vibing so hard. So, you know, the thing that the reason why I didn't start the podcast any sooner is because I was scared of trolls on the internet. I was like, I can't do it. And like my husband, his Instagram used to be motorcycles. And he was posting some really cool content. He went really viral. And I think he made like 80,000 followers in like just a couple of months. Like,
Mashallah.
shot up.
Yeah.
So it was a mix of my knowledge of, hey, this is what you should do, plus his amazing content. So when we put the two together, he shot up.
Mashallah.
But then the comments that people were saying were like, oh, you need one pebble to go on the bike and you're dead. And people are just like, oh yeah, you're gonna die, you're gonna die, you're gonna die. And I was like, astaghfirullah. And then because I'm impulsive for his 30th birthday, I was like, I'm buying you a motorcycle. So I'm like, what that you have. So I bought him this like brand new like Italian motorcycle. And then 1 month, it didn't last a month even. And what happened? A pebble went in his bike and then he slid down the mountain. And then I had to find him with a WhatsApp location to like, I was like, I found out when I was at work. It was this woman's intuition, right? I was like, oh my gosh. And thankfully the shift was nearly over. So I went to Fujairah from Abu Dhabi all the way to Fujairah, was trying to find him on Google location. Like, I want to cry. I'm like, I didn't even cry. I was just like, I called him because I literally went on break. I felt something was wrong. I called him. I was like, just tell me you'll be fine. He's like, I will be. I need you to come pick me up. I was like,
oh my God.
Yeah. So I literally WhatsApp location, drove, found him. And he was like in a cast and he was still in shock. He's like, oh yeah, my friends, they took me to the hospital and now I'm waiting for you to come get me. And I was like, okay. So eventually I found him, but I was like, I am putting a location up on you like a psycho wife. I do not care. Yes, I can monitor even when he's walking, it shows walking. Yeah.
I need to get that.
Exactly. I was like, no. And so even now it actually really helps because if I need him to go to the store, I'm like, you're so close to the store. Just step on the way.
Like, I need some milk. Things in your WhatsApp.
So yeah, but okay, because we vibe so hard, now it's a rapid fire round.
I'm ready.
Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, you're already warmed up.
I'm very warm.
Okay, so I'm gonna flip the sound timer. You just tell me the first thing that pops into your head for 1 minute. Okay, 1, 2. Social media.
Instagram.
Hobby.
Watching Netflix.
Yes. Emotion.
Happy.
Day of the week.
It's Tuesday.
It's not even Tuesday. What is it, like a Wednesday?
It's a Thursday.
It's a Thursday? It's a shift worker, I don't know.
I'm like, it's like it's a housewife life. I don't know.
Exactly. It's a shift work life.
Yeah.
Okay, song.
I just can think of a singer, Adele. I can't think of a song.
Oh well, Adele is great. Yeah, just all of the Adele.
All of it. All albums.
Exactly. Hidden talent.
Oh, accents.
Oh, yeah, same actually. Yeah. Guilty pleasure.
It's also watching Netflix, but more of the trash TV side.
Trash. Superpower.
My superpower is my hyperfixation. I think, it's just doing research.
Okay. Yeah, I agree because everything that you do mention, you can tell you've researched. Thank you for sharing. That's a minute. Are you feeling even more warmed up?
I am so hot now.
Spicy.
Yeah.
Yeah, even we haven't met in person before, but a process I've started with the podcast now is just a quick 30-minute Google Meet. And even on the Google Meet, we were both like,
yeah, like we were 𝐾𝐿 the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember I was feeling rough that day. Like it was just the start of my annual leave, so the roughest I am after like working for a couple of months straight. And then I woke up from my nap at we were meeting at 2 or something.
Yeah.
1:57. I was like, my hair was like this, my personality was like this, and I was like, she'll understand.
Yeah, no, I got it. Now we vibed.
Yeah.
I loved it. Well, not.
Even when I came on, I was like, oh, her hair is curly, so cute. So
No, we, both of us. I lost my curls.
oh, you lost your curl? How?
I don't know.
It just ate, like, you know, I've heard your curl pattern can change with time.
Yeah, I don't know. I cut my hair,
Okay.
and when I cut it, I feel like my hair got upset, and it just, yeah, it's
Oh, interesting.
really sad because I still have like super curly hair.
Yeah, same. I have really curly hair. I mean, nobody can see it, type. But
But just like no.
yeah. But yeah, oh, that's really interesting. Okay, so let's focus.
Yes, focus.
Focus. This is the ADHD. It doesn't help because both of us are just like, okay, so I made a cue card for you, and I made like random bullet points. And one of the pieces of content that I've seen you put out, and again, you've educated me so much, so I know more because of you. And one of the topics is Palestine. So feel free to share. That podcast literally is yours.
So I wanted to talk about what was happening in Palestine was because I felt it so deep in my bones that there was something, like this time, there was something different. I haven't said this before. I've said this in my social circles, but I haven't said this before. Pre-October 7th, I never really cared, you know, because I didn't know. I didn't have the full information. I would hear it from my family, but I grew up watching CNN.
Okay.
Right? I know I was one of those kids. You know, I grew up watching CNN, reading the newspaper, and I'd read Western news all the time. That I would think to myself that the West understood and we didn't. So like I never saw the whole situation in Palestine from the Arab perspective, because I always, you know, you grow up with this like Western imperialism, you think that they're better. So I'm like, oh, they have the solution and you guys are just being over dramatic. And it took a really long time for me to break out of that kind of mentality. But still, with the whole issue with Palestine, I never educated myself, right? Like, I was like, this is too complicated, because that's what the news says. It's so complicated. That I'm like, it's too complicated. I'm not going to get into it. And then when the whole October 7th happened and their Minister of Defense came out on international television and said, we are not dealing with humans, and we are going to cut their water, their food supply, all these things. I'm like, wait, this is exactly what I learned in school about how the Nazis spoke about, you know, anyone, it's not even the Jews, it was anyone of color. That I was just like, what, you know, it kind of like broke this image that I had of like, oh, the West knows better, because they were like, yeah, they're right, you know, like I'm like watching CNN, reading all the news, and I'm just like, are you hearing what I'm hearing? They're dehumanizing these people to justify doing these war crimes. And that's when I was like, I need to do research. And I just dove in, like 2 days, I'm just like reading everything, reading the history. And then I was like, if it took me a long time to understand, because I've been told it's so complicated, and then people need to hear from that side, from an English perspective. Like, I know that the Arabs, we all know the story, but the Western world doesn't, you know, and that's why I felt like it was my responsibility to share. So then that's when I started talking about it. But yeah, like it's been, and it is different this time, you know, it is. And it was a very, it's been a very hard year, I think, for everyone as well, you know? So like, it's just, I think we all have to do our part to try to stand up. 'Cause like, I don't want to tell my kids one day that I didn't do anything. You know?
Exactly. Yeah. And I feel like knowledge is power. And, you know, even though you're at home making videos, the reach, even though if it's my one view, but the reach is what is the most important. And hopefully it reaches the right people, or any people for that matter, because education equips you. Yeah. And the fact that even though you were like raised on CNN, you know, and you were like, no, I have to think as an individual, and do the research, because that's actually how I learned a lot about what has been going on. I literally was doom scrolling, And then I came across your post and I stopped because I have no attention. I'm just like, quick, like, okay, air female support, like, comment, save, you know? And then I actually stopped and I was listening. And then I think I switched over to TikTok because the videos were longer.
Yeah.
So I was like, my ABS account, and like I don't even have any followers or any views on one. But I just went there and I was like, okay, let's watch. And it educated me, and I was like, oh my goodness, because I had the same thing where because of my lack of understanding, it came across as not really caring.
Yeah.
Because I genuinely didn't understand.
Yeah.
And then, for me, I know I'm making an excuse, so I take full accountability for that. But I'm like, my job is so stressful. And for people who don't know, I'm an air traffic controller. I've done it for over 10 years now. And when I go to work, my job is so intense, and I have to make decisions really quickly that impact millions, thousands and millions of lives every shift. So when I come home and if I stress myself out more, I see my cortisol levels, I literally did a blood test. The doctor was like, what is happening? Can you change your career? I'm like, no. I like to do my podcast at home, and that's how I pay for it.
No, but that's the thing. I think your job, like, it's understandable because your job is, I know people in air traffic control, it is really, really stressful. You are responsible for a lot of lives and livelihood, not just livelihoods, like safety, you know? So I understand.
Exactly. You know, people think the pilot is in control, which they are, but they're listening to what I tell them to do. Mic drop.
Yeah.
Can't drop these mics. But, you know, yeah, that's basically what it is. So, you know, I come home and I live far away from work purposefully so that I can mentally decompress by the time I get home.
Right.
You know, because when I come home, I want to be present with my husband, with the family. If, like, you know, my mom's come to hang out, I don't want to bring that tension back with me. And my mom's very sensitive to how people feel. So she's literally like, your energy. And I'm like, I know, Mom. There you go. So now she's like, I'll come and hang out with you on your second day off, but you can call me when you're done with work. I'm like, okay.
She's like, don't transfer that stress to me.
Exactly. She's like, no. Exactly. So if we were to press pause on your life present day, what does it look like?
That's a very interesting question, because do you want to talk about what my life looks like on a day-to-day basis, or where I am in my life right now?
Both.
Oh, okay.
And whatever you're comfortable to share, of course.
Sure. Right now, the emotion is excitement. I feel like even though there are a lot of unknowns at the moment, I'm just excited because I feel like when there are a lot of unknowns, I know that there's a new adventure about to start. You know what I mean? So I feel like I'm at the crossroads, but that doesn't make me nervous anymore.
Okay.
You know?
That's really good.
Yeah.
What changed to make you feel the lack of worry or anxiety? Because for me, uncertainty, it's scary.
Well, that used to be me. I used to have so much anxiety about uncertainty. And then I kind of found, I don't want to say that I found God, because I've always like had God in my life, but I found trust. I feel like a lot of the times we get so anxious, but we don't know that God has everything planned for us. Even if it's bad, it's going to be good. Like, it's for a reason. It's khira, you know? And so many things have happened in my life that seemed uncertain and I stressed about, or it seemed bad, or like at the moment, it feels like it's a bad thing that's happening, but you don't know that it's going to lead to something good. Like, that had to happen for you to be this, you know, or for you to meet this person, or for you to go here, or whatever it is. So now I'm always like at this kind of like, I trust God. So I don't worry about what's going to happen next, because I'm like, whatever happens is meant to happen. And it's either good for me or the people around me. So khalas, like, I'm just at peace kind of thing. You know what I mean? I'm just excited.
Yeah, that's really nice. Even for me this year, like, I grew up with a lot of Islamic influence, being raised here, and even though I'm mixed race, that's what my parents aligned on, and was Islam. So both my grandmothers had a very big influence on me. You know, one moved away, one moved to the US from my mom's side, and then the one from my father's side, 𝐸𝐿𝐼, she passed. So then I kind of lost that influence a bit, and then it continued to get lost. You know, I was raised in private schooling and everything, and then you're trying to be cool. Like, it just didn't align, and the fact that it didn't align is so sad, because it's so beautiful. You know, And then this year, so 2024, this Ramadan, I was like, okay, I'm feeling so much anxiety, and I have this meditation app called Balance. I'm like, I'm not feeling balanced anymore. And then one of my best friends, I work with him because he was like my batchmate. He's like, Jouhayna, just start praying. For 11 years, this boy has told me to pray, like really pray.
Yeah.
And I listened to him. He's like, look, just do it for Ramadan, okay? Promise me. You have to promise me. Say wallah, you'll do it. And I was like, okay, say wallah, I'll do it. So because I wallahed, I did it. Good wallah. You know?
I love that because I wallahed it. You need to put that on a t-shirt.
That is so true. My hoodie collection.
Wallah, I would buy it. Wallah, I did it. Yeah. That's like, you know, screw Nike and they're like, just do it. It's like, because I said wallah, I did it.
Exactly. Okay, thank you. So because I wallah, I did it. And then I lost touch with how to pray. So I actually had to relearn how to pray as an adult.
Yeah.
You know, so I had an app on. Actually, it's a really good app. So if anybody wants to reconnect with Islam or just needs a refresher and they're a bit shy, there's an app called Namaz, and you just play the audio and you can have it next to you with the prayer mat, and you can see the pictures of, you know, when you're supposed to do sujood and everything else. And then you put the audio, like I put the audio in my ear.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I don't want anyone to know. I don't know. And then there were a couple of people who would see me pray that, like, you're praying really slowly. I'm like, I need to feel it, okay?
No, but that's the thing. I used to pray really fast. I'm like, okay, I need to pray.
Yeah.
And then I started like taking my time and not just taking my time. I thought for a long time that I needed to talk to God in Arabic, and I'm not good in Arabic. Yeah, I don't know why I had this like, I'm like, oh, I need to speak Arabic, otherwise God won't understand me. So and I'm not good at Arabic, yani.
Yeah, girl, same.
Yeah, you know, like private school, like my Arabic is like grade 5. So, like I always thought that I had to like speak to God in Arabic. And then I started speaking to God in English. Like I'll do my prayers, but while I'm praying, I'm doing sujood. I'm talking to God in English, you know, and it just feels like a therapy session.
It is a therapy session.
And so you take your time and you say, like, I say thank you. I talk through my emotions, and then it feels like a weight has been lifted, you know? So that's like, I feel like all of the things that we were taught in school from like those teachers that are like, you must do things like this.
They taught you with a ruler.
Yeah, exactly. And it just kind of like pushes you away. And then there's a lot of kind of information. Now it's different online, but there was a point where everything was like bad, fear. And when I started like approaching God with love, everything changed for me. You know what I mean? I feel gonna cry. It's okay. Yeah. No, but like it just, yani, when you approach God with love, God gives you love.
That's so true.
You know? And so it's like your life changes completely. And that's why I'm saying I have trust, because like I trust in Allah now so much that whatever happens, I know that Allah is always in my corner, you know?
That's so true.
Yeah.
Like, my husband's a revert, so you actually saw him outside with the dog.
Yes.
You were like,
I was like, who's this person looking at me? He's like, who's this person going to my house?
Yeah, exactly. People don't expect him to be married to me because he's Lithuanian, he's blonde, green eyes. Yeah, and then he's out there with 2 blonde dogs, and you're just like, all right, weirdo, stop looking at me.
Yeah, I'm like, does this guy think I'm not part of the neighborhood? Because I could be.
No, you definitely can. Yeah, of course. But yeah, so he, nobody expects that, so he's a revert.
Yeah.
And then he came to me, and he was so proud of this line. He's like, we all have a direct line with Allah. So 2, 4, 4, 3, 4. You know, the rak'ahs that we have to do every day. And I was like, that should also on a t-shirt.
Yeah, I didn't think of it like that.
We all have a direct line with Allah. We have a direct hotline with the one person who we can go to. You know?
I love that. I never thought of 2, 4, 4, 3, 4. That is...
He's like,
but my mind is blowing.
My mind was blown. When he told me, I was like, I'm glad this marinate and then mention it on the podcast.
Yes. No, but that's really, that is very, that's like really good marketing.
Yeah. It's good marketing. You use it in your episodes. Go like, shout out to Jouhayna.
Yeah.
And Andy.
Yeah. Yeah, mashallah. But that's the thing. I love hearing stories from reverts, because sometimes it's from them that you can also find God. And I feel like some people don't understand that just because you're born Muslim, doesn't mean you have to, like, it's done for you. You still have to find God yourself.
Oh, 100%. Like I was 20, I'm 29 this year. This is when I feel like I've actually met God, you know, and it has helped with my anxiety, but you know, I'm a overthinking spiraler. So
it takes time.
It takes time, but it has helped a lot, you know? So alhamdulillah, like I'm happy that you also had that. When did you have your...
I want to say maybe like last year.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and I've had it come and go, you know, but this, let's say this spiritual moment where I fully trusted Allah, because before there was trust, but there was anxiety, you know, there's like, I'm not sure, you know, but now I'm just like, khalas, I fully trust Allah, because I also understand that I don't know if I watched a video, it could be that something I consumed online, but it was like, if you have a little bit of doubt, or anxiety is doubt, but why are you doubting Allah? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So then I was like, oh, okay. I changed my feelings, you know? Like, I don't want to doubt, because if I doubt, then I won't get it. Like, even if it's something good that you want to ask, sometimes before I'd be like, please, God, I want this. But there's always doubt that I'm not going to get it. So then I don't get it. But if I fully trust Allah, and I accept that if I don't get it, it's good for me. And if I do get it, it's because Allah, like, listened to my prayers. Then at the end of the day, it's both a win-win situation, regardless. Then khalas, you know, like, Allah will bless you regardless. Even if you don't get what you want, you will get something better.
Exactly, because we can't see past what we want.
Yeah.
Then later on, when you reflect back, how many times have you ever reflected back and you're like, alhamdulillah, that didn't work out, because look at what happened instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Allah does that. Like, you know, you just have to trust. There are many times where, like I said, like you said, sorry, that I'm like, why did this happen? This is not what I wanted. This is going to ruin things for me. And then later down the line, I'm like, if that didn't happen, and this wouldn't, like, these opportunities would, you know?
Exactly. Like for me, I was shortlisted to either go and become a pilot or an ATC. And I remember for the pilot program, I found out about air traffic after, right? So when the pilot program didn't work out, they gave me an excuse of like, oh, you're 1 centimeter too short. I'm like, I'm 17 years old. I will grow for at least 1 more year. And, you know, I'll take my calcium. I don't know.
Like, I'll wear heels.
It's fine. Exactly. And I'll wear heels to press the pedal.
Yeah.
You know, some pilots will watch this and be like, oh, better she's controlling us. But, you know, and then when I found out about air traffic and I applied for that, you know, I was going to control one airplane and now I control them all instead. So I remember, like, even there was, in the early days, everyone's really excited about the career that I got into. So I had a couple of magazine articles that came out earlier in my career. And somebody's like, are you sad you didn't become a pilot? And then that's where I got the line, because I'm a sassy girl.
Yeah.
I'm a sassy girl. So I was like, why control one aircraft when I can control them all? And then that was like my line. And then they were like,
name drop, mic drop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, so at the time I felt like my life was over. I'm 17. I was like, I have nothing will work out for me. Ooh. And then now when I look back, alhamdulillah, that didn't work out, because I mean, shift work in itself is tough, but I can't imagine being a shift worker who's jet lagged.
Oh. Yeah. No, that's crazy. And how will you see your family and down the line? I think everything happens for a reason. It's a blessing. And if you were a pilot, you wouldn't have this podcast.
Yeah, that's true. I'd be flying more. I'll just have to have an international setup and be like,
you're like live from the cockpit.
Exactly. So I saw you were doing comedy. I want to know more about this.
Oh, okay. So I started stand-up comedy in 2018.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I didn't take it as like a full-time thing. I did stand-up comedy because I had anxiety for public speaking.
Same. Yeah. I didn't do comedy for that.
I was like, where are you? Like, I'll come with you.
No, I had a fear of public speaking, not even anxiety, fear, like physically I would shake at the idea of it.
Well, that's the thing. I didn't always have this. That, like, when I was in school, I was in drama club, I was in student council, so I was doing a lot of presentations and stuff. But then when I was in university, I took a long time to graduate.
Okay.
You know, because I was not good at math, and it really like hit my confidence. You know, I didn't feel like I was smart enough or good enough and stuff like that. And so then when I started working, even though I have the job, I have this like low confidence. And then they were telling me, you know, we have events, we need you to do presentations. And I was literally about to faint. Like, I had pictures from like, I had to do like a panel, and I was sweating. There was water. I was glistening. Like, it was just not even dew. It was like, you know, there was water dripping down my, like, thank God I wear abaya, you know, but like, it was all sticky. And I was like, I can't let this happen. Like, you know, for my career, for everything, I need to be able to speak publicly. So I was like, you know, let me do a stand-up class. Like, there, you know, there is public speaking classes, but I'm like, I don't want to be formal. Like, I want to have fun with it. So I took a stand-up class, loved it, got over my fear of public speaking, and then never did it again.
Okay. Yeah. So was it one class that you did, or did you do like a...
It's a course. Like,
it's a course.
Yeah, so it's like 2 months, and then you do a graduation set, like it's a show.
Okay.
So I did that, and I loved it, and I was like, okay, thanks, bye. Like, you know?
You said.
Yeah, and then this year, I was trying to figure out my content, because like, my content took a shift last year ever since I started doing commentary. Like, before that, I was just doing like beauty, lifestyle, like, you know? And then there was like a hard shift with my content, and I started really enjoying that aspect. And I was like, maybe I can take a stand-up class to help me with that, you know, to help me with my content. I started doing the stand-up, and I'm like, wait, this is fun. Yeah,
I love that.
So then I took 2 courses, and then now I'm starting to do like just random gigs, open mic nights and stuff like that. And I don't know, like, I'm just seeing where this goes, honestly speaking. I'm not planning anything. I'm just having fun with it, you know?
Let me know let me know the next time you go on stage. I will show up.
I'll let you know.
Thank you for the support. If I'm off shift, I'm there. Like, definitely. Because I've had my public speaking coach, so I did it more formal.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐜𝐫𝐢𝐻𝐻. That's as far as my Arabic goes.
Yeah.
So that's memorized. But I hired a public speaking coach, and I found out in 2019, while I was on stage, that I had a fear of public speaking.
Wow.
So, you know, I got nominated by my work, and it's like literally all the delegates were like in the front seat, and I'm like there as a panelist. And I was like, growing up, I did ballet for 14 years. So at the end of every year, you have a big show for the parents. Like, this is where you spent all your money. That's why you're all broke now. You know, so we had a show for the parents, and I loved being on stage. Like, it wasn't the attention. Everyone told me that, like, when they know me, they have a smiley, bubbly person. But when I'm on stage, lockjaw, serious, serious prima ballerina. We're playing games. Just focus. Exactly. So I literally was, I was on stage. I loved it. Like, even the moms, they would stop what they did, and they told me, they're like, we would stop because we knew your song was coming on. And I was like, oh, that's so nice. So I was like talking on stage. I used to dance. I used to do splits in the air on stage. What is talking?
Nothing. You're like, watch me talk and do this.
So then I was like, so then I'm sat there, and I didn't know that with public speaking at the time, you have to prepare in advance to know what your questions are. I knew nothing. Nobody briefed me. Nobody gave me anything. 45 minutes before I go on stage, I actually got a text that something went wrong with one family member with their health. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then I go on stage, and then I never heard myself on a mic.
Yeah.
And I was like, they were like, oh, can you introduce yourself? I'm like, my name is, and then I heard, my name is, and I was like, I forgot my name. Oh, shit. And then, you know, when you mentioned the sweat trickling down your back, copy paste. So I'm sat on this chair, and I'm wearing a colorful light abaya. So I'm pretty sure when I got up, it looked, didn't look pretty. Then I get nervous. I start speaking really fast. My heart's racing, beating out of my chest. And then I'm having, like, literally, not even my manager's manager looking at me. He's like, speak slowly. Your name's Jouhayna. And I was like,
yeah.
You know, and you can tell, like, I'm very expressive, you know?
Yeah.
It's probably why I need to, like, get Botox so nobody knows what I'm thinking. Like, I'm so expressive. So everyone knew I was, like, panicking on stage, or that's what it felt like. And then I just kept repeating to the other people were saying when they were asking me questions. And I was like, oh, I look like literally I misrepresented so badly. And then I was told afterwards, like, oh, you didn't even do well. We had more faith in you. I was like, oh my God, this is really helping.
Yeah.
And then I was like, halas, I'm just never doing public speaking. So I think you were like, I have to do this for my career. For me, it was just representing, and halas, just don't use me on this event that occurs every other year.
Yeah.
Whatever. Then COVID came around, and again, I drew all this art, and I was like, what can I do to improve myself? So I found a public speaking coach, and then she and I worked together during COVID over Zoom to make my public speaking skills better. So that was my journey. And then, so when the whole world shut down, that's when I was talking to my laptop for a couple months, learning how to do public speaking.
But that's the thing, when you're like, I learned over Zoom, I'm like, but then did you have opportunities later to be able to like practice in front of an audience?
Yeah, so people saw this in me with the public speaking, but I didn't. I was like, why would anyone always talk on stage? So I got the opportunity to MC for women in aviation. And then she saw it and she's like, no, Jouhayna, you're coming. Are you off? I'm like, yeah. She's like, you're coming. You're going to MC. I'm like, no. She's like, but you're working on it. So just come and do it. So I did it. I got really good feedback. There were, and as an MC, you're not the star of the show. You're literally just filling in, you know. And then there were women who said that they stayed the whole day because they liked the little comments I made in between the panels. So they're like, oh, we would have gone, but we stayed for you. And
That's amazing.
So nice. So then after that, I was like, okay, there's clearly something here. So I did a lot of free gigs for, I think, 2 or 3 years. And then I was like, oh, I think I should start getting paid now. And because I was with other MCs who are getting paid 5 figures plus for a few hours of work, and I'm over there for free. And I'm like, so they're paying all the ajanib thousands and thousands of dirham, and then for the local, they're like, no, you don't, no. All because I'm local and I'm from here and I have a job already doesn't mean you shouldn't pay me bad.
Yep.
I want to get paid.
Demand it. I swear to God, like I get so annoyed when people try to like skimp for, like, you're like, you want me to come, you want me to show up,
Yeah,
pay me.
exactly. You think this happens quickly? Like the makeup, this takes time. The abayas, you want me to look a certain way, represent a certain way, you know? And then for me, again, my disadvantage is that I can only speak English.
Yeah.
But then some places specifically want that. They want to have an Emirati representing, but speaking to people in English because that's what most of the audience speaks.
Right.
So if you want that specific niche,
She's your girl.
and pay me, like,
Pay her.
you know? So when I put my foot down with that, suddenly there was a decline in my requests. So for schools, I will always show up and work for free because I like to work with kids, and you know, that is literally my favorite. I had an auditorium full of teenagers who I had to do a motivational speech on procrastination post-COVID.
Right.
Like, I was literally scared. And then I went on stage. I was like, the only way to reach them is to tell them that I procrastinated to come up with this speech.
Yeah.
Immediately.
You got them.
Bam, I got them. They were like, you were so honest. I was like, yeah, that's the whole point. I'm not going to come here and pretend to be something that I'm not. And, you know, it humanized me.
Yeah.
Because also when you see somebody on stage, even for me, if I see somebody on stage, I'm like, I can't talk to them, I'm shy.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
such a ballsy person.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And then because the kids liked me so much, they called me back for a TEDx. So alhamdulillah, you know.
And mashallah, see, it pays off.
Yeah,
It pays off in certain places, but still pay her.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Unless you're a kid.
Yeah.
If you're 17 and below,
That sounds so wrong.
it's free for you.
No, but seriously, I understand because, like, even as a content creator, it's so frustrating because I was client side.
Yeah.
I was the person who would send the emails, like, send us your rate cards, and I'd see the numbers. I know what people are charging. And then if I charge just a little bit, they'd be like, sorry, can you do it for free? I'm like, no. Yeah, like, I'm not gonna.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, we'll send you a box of all of our products. I'm like, I already have all of your products.
Yeah.
Pay me.
Pay me, exactly. Because and it's really frustrating. It's kind of like the gig economy here. It's not. I don't know if it's here. I think globally, people always try to get what they like, the cheaper rate or whatever.
Exactly. And I think specifically with like working with Khaliji women, I think there's like a shame in asking to get paid as well. So I remember I was sat down and I told one of the girls who was with me on stage, I was like, all of them got pissed that I got paid, even though there was just a panel discussion. And it was like, I asked and I put my foot down and I told them, I said, you're paying for, I won't mention the names, you're paying for XYZ to fly in, you're putting them up in a fancy hotel, and you can't pay me like a couple thousand dirham for my expertise. Please tell me who else is going to speak the way that I speak, right, about the topics that I'm speaking about and is trained the way that I'm trained. Oh, we'll let you know, we'll get the approval. They got the approval. Then the women, we were all backstage and they were like, I'm really mad that I didn't get paid. And I was like, I got paid. They're like, what? And I was like, you should ask. You should put your foot down.
Yeah.
And the people who are with me are really influential. Like, if they ask, they could have gotten like literally 10 times the amount.
Yeah.
I'm like, just put your foot down. I'm like, I don't show up unless I get paid anymore.
Yeah.
And then people are like, oh yeah, but then you lose exposure. I'm like, no. I'm saving my time for the people who appreciate me for me. And then I mentioned it to one of the other girls. Now, if there's even interest for even 2 minutes of her time, she's like, here's my rate card, let me know. And then if it's a company where she doesn't want to do it, she sends double the price.
Right.
And then sometimes they accept. And she's like, I never would have done it if you didn't tell me to put my foot down.
Yeah. My husband's the same. So like when I was not charging, like, I'll do for free, I'll do whatever. And he's like, what is wrong with you? You know, because like I think men ask.
Yes.
You know? And he's like, why aren't you asking? Why are you doing things for free? And it takes so much time. And then there's revisions and all of these things. He's like, just charge an amount. And I was like, no, but I'm shy. And I used to say the same thing. I'm like, exposure. And then I realized like I'm doing a lot of free stuff for these big companies.
And they benefit from having your face on the front.
Exactly. So now I send my rate cards, and now I'm also very picky about what brand. Like the brand has to align. So like sometimes I will do it for free if I know that if I'm passionate about that brand. You know, like this is a connection that I want to make.
Yeah.
I'm very strategic. But
Exactly.
you know, I don't but I don't do things for free, no.
Yeah, exactly. No. My gosh. Foot down.
No, because like I'm gonna spill some tea. There are some creators, like, okay, I'm not a big creator. There are some creators who are smaller than me, and then I find out what their rates are and they're getting paid, and I'm like, but why don't I have the confidence in myself?
Exactly. Yeah. In a pep talk, just go like join in a pep talk, and I will send you, because I always interact on Instagram.
Yeah.
59 seconds, I'll watch it. Motivation, send. And then I'll send you some more.
Done. I'll be like, Joe, I need some motivation today. I need to get paid.
Exactly. Because even for me, I gaslight myself. So now I have an agent. So anybody has an interest in me, they do that. And he, mashallah, this man, like, I never would have charged what he charged. And it was like for me to show up for an hour. He got me 5 times more than what I would ever have even pitched myself as, thinking that I was pitching a high amount.
Yeah. No, it helps. Girl, like I said, I used to work client side. I used to see disgusting numbers, and I'm like, for what?
Exactly.
But still, we need to get rid of this internalized shame, I think.
Yeah, the internalized shame, that's literally the perfect phraseology for what it is. You know? Couldn't agree more. And honestly, that's also part of the reason why I started the podcast, because I want to learn from people. So instead of going to university and doing my master's, the money I saved, I decided to put into the podcast so I could learn from people how they made it in life. What are they doing with themselves? You know, and then also learn about different topics, you know?
Yeah.
So even with the podcast, like for example, Diary of a CEO, I love this podcast. It's my favorite.
It's so good.
Oh, so amazing. And the host, Stephen Bartlett, he's sold at Coca-Cola Arena to speak. So he's coming to our country, and then he's doing all these things.
Right.
I'm like, why isn't anybody locally doing something like that?
Right.
So he actually inspired me a lot to take the plunge with doing it, because I was like, if he can do it, why can't I? He's also a mixed kid. Let's go.
No, but seriously, it's a school of life. And I love the fact that you took that money, instead of putting it into like a traditional degree, you're putting it to learn from other people, because there's so much knowledge there.
Exactly.
And my granddad used to always say, 𝐸 used to say, like, even if you make a mistake, it's like you paid for a course. Even if it cost you something, and you have learned something, then like better than what you would have learned inside a classroom.
Exactly. You know? And I'm the kind of person who loves to share knowledge as well. So that's why I hired a team that records it well, because also people don't pay attention if the content isn't done well.
Right.
So I was like, I'm going to do it well, but it's not just for me to learn. I want to share that with whoever is watching, you know? And that was literally
I didn't get blessings for that.
Oh,
you know that?
Yeah, I
because
know that.
if you have knowledge and you don't hold that knowledge, you share that knowledge, God blesses you. So you're doing good work.
I didn't know that. I'll just be myself.
Yeah. No, but also you're getting like what people do with that knowledge, you will get the blessings from that as well.
Oh, that's so wonderful. That helps. So the podcast is halal.
Exactly. That's halal certified.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, and even going back to our topic on reverts, there was one of the girls who I was friends with, and she's British, and she was exploring Islam. So she got COVID, and then she found Quran in her apartment. and it was translated. So she was reading, and she's like, this aligns with me more than Christianity.
Right.
So then when she was learning more about Islam, and at the time I wasn't in touch with Islam as I am now, she's like, Jo, you're actually more Muslim than you realize. And I was like, what do you mean?
And she's like, I thought I already was Muslim.
Yeah, like,
silly.
You know, so then she's like, so I love to cook, but I don't cook often, but when I do cook, it's a vibe, and I will always share with everyone. And what I like to eat, I will share. And I didn't know that was also, it was also taught, and it's
Part of the sunnah.
exactly. So I was like, oh, that's nice. But again, I noticed that a lot of the things that I was doing anyway aligned with that. And I was like, oh, that it was just really validating. And like, you know, alhamdulillah, I'm grateful,
Inshallah, yeah.
that I was raised in a way that I was channeled to be that way.
Yeah.
And now I'm learning that it is actually part of Islam.
Yeah, it's part of, you know, that's what I love about our culture. Like, a lot of people hate on our culture, but I'm like, we're such a, our culture and our religion really cares about community. It's not about the individual. It's about all of us together and doing good for so many people.
Exactly.
You know, and so I love that. Like, I love, like, the sharing is part of our culture. It's part of our religion. You know, you come sit on the table with me, we eat. Whereas, like, you go to, I don't want to, like, compare, but I remember I did this kind of for research, and I realized that, like, for example, in Western societies, everything's individual. Like, you go to a restaurant, or like part of even their family meals, everyone has a meal by themselves.
Exactly.
Whereas, like, we eat from the same plate, you know, and it's just more like, I don't know, it's just more warm, hospitable. Like, we just care about the people around us. So
Exactly. Like, that's why even the podcast is done in the house.
Yeah.
I was like, come to my house. We'll hang out. Because I've done podcasts in studios with being a guest on other people's shows. And I was like, you can feel the person who's monitoring, like,
yes, yeah, it feels
you have
sterile.
30 more seconds.
Yeah.
Get out because somebody else booked.
Yeah, no, 100%. I've been in that situation before as well. And as nice as it is to have, like, a studio kind of thing, it is the whole, like, oh shit, I've paid for time, I need to leave. And yeah.
Exactly. So if we were to press rewind on your life, most people won't know this about you, but you used to work in Expo
Yes.
for 7 years.
Almost 7 years. Like, yeah. It was such a fun experience. Honestly speaking, Expo was such a beautiful time in my life. I think for everyone, even event time, but like also pre-Expo, it was such an experience because it was my first job ever. I joined as part of their graduate program, and then I continued. And I don't know, it was just like every day was a school day. Like, you learn so much.
That's nice.
You meet so many people from around the world. So yeah, like, it was such a fun time.
Yeah. What were you doing in Expo?
I was doing social media, marketing, and then production. So I started in the comms department, and then I moved slowly into marketing, and then I moved again into the production team. So we would do all of the kind of the campaigns, the videos that go on social, the videos that go on, like, TV, you know, all these kind of things. It was more like we were in the internal agency for Expo. So it was really fun. It was different from, like, your normal desk job. Yeah.
So nice. And then how did it feel when Expo ended? Because you worked on it for so long.
I cried.
Yeah.
Like, can I say, I have a video, my friend took a video of me. We were in Expo, and they were doing I was in a restaurant next to Al-Wasl Plaza because I didn't have access, like, only special people had access to the closing ceremony. But we could hear it, and I'm sitting in the restaurant, and then the fireworks go off, and I'm just sobbing my eyes out. Like, I'm like, this is it. It's over. Yeah, because, like, I joined Expo when Expo was sand. I had my assessment, like, because, like I said, I was part of the graduate program. We had our assessment in the site office, overlooking the site, which was just flat sand. And I remember, like, sitting doing this assessment, I'm like, oh my God, if I get this, like, oh wow, I'm just looking at sand. You know? Sand, yeah. I'm just looking at sand, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is going to be like where the event is.
Yeah.
And then being able to, like, work there for almost 7 years and see it grow, and we'd go do our site visits, we'd do all these things. I'm just like, I can't imagine what it would be. And I've never been to an Expo before. Like, there were people who were part of the team who have been to several Expos, they've gone before, they know what to expect. I'm like, I don't know. So what is this? Like, this is a new world kind of thing. And then when it actually happened, it was so beautiful. And I would meet so many different types of people, even leading up to it, because we'd have all of these events and delegations. You meet people from countries you've never heard of.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? And you learn about cultures. Like the whole point of Expo was to, you know, share stories, share culture, share businesses, you know, from like a political standpoint to a business standpoint to an individual standpoint. Everyone was learning and everyone was sharing and exchanging. And I just learned so much, and it was just so beautiful to see like the world in one place.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. Because even my husband, we met in COVID, and we weren't ever able to go to Lithuania until all the restrictions lifted and everything. So we actually went to Lithuania for the first time in Expo.
Oh, you went to the pavilion?
We went to the pavilion. And this was the first time I was able to try his food, you know. It's like cold beetroot soup, and oh my God, their food, amazing.
Really?
So it's like deep fried bread. So it's like, you know, when the bread goes old, instead of getting rid of it, they would deep fry it. And then they make a garlic cheese dip. Oh my God, that sounds so good. So good. Okay. So good. I literally just sat there. I was like, can we go every day? Like, I want to go back and just have this deep fried bread.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of other food and delicacies, but cheesy bread.
Oh my God, no.
It's like a deconstructed mac and cheese. That
sounds so good. But even that beetroot soup, I once went to what was it? I think it was a Ukrainian restaurant. They had this
very similar.
Yeah. It was like, me and my husband were like, what is it? Like, this is actually so good, you know?
And you hear cold soup and you're like, what?
Yeah.
It's a summer dish, and it's made out of kefir, which is so good for your gut.
Yeah.
Unless you're lactose intolerant.
And then it's not really that.
Yeah. It's just a quicker cleanse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's actually the first time we went to Lithuania.
That's amazing.
And then when I went to real Lithuania, I was like, the soup was as good in our Expo.
No,
they nailed it.
The food scene in Expo was so good.
That's what we went for. Like, we treated it the way we treat Global Village. It was a food tour.
No, but the thing is, with like Global Village, you're standing.
Yeah.
This is like you have full tasted experience. And like I had, like, one of my favorite restaurants in Expo was this Greek restaurant. It was part of the Greece Pavilion. And that same guy who was the chef of the restaurant in the pavilion now opened his own restaurant in Dubai. And it's so good. His name is Chef Spiros.
Okay.
Girl, when I tell you, the food is just like, there's Greek food, but then there's Greek food. But also you like, I think it was, what was Estonia? Estonia had the best burgers at Expo, and like you had to wait in line and then they sell out. Like, it was crazy. I went to the Cuban pavilion. It's a really funny story. Can I share?
Yeah, wherever is in your heart.
I went to the Cuban because, look, I was part of the marketing team. So we had to create marketing material for Expos, even during event time. So I would read about every single pavilion's offerings, and we had to come up with ideas of like how to like either create videos on Instagram and TikTok, or maybe put it on our website, or write scripts to send it to like, you know, radio, whatever. Because I also had a radio gig during Expo as well, for Expo.
Okay.
So there was a lot of research involved. So I read that the Cuban pavilion had mojitos.
Okay.
Because apparently mojitos were created in Cuba.
Okay.
Yeah, I
didn't know that.
No, neither did I. I was like, oh,
it's like the favorite like Emirati beverage.
Yeah.
Everyone's like virgin mojito.
Exactly. I'm like, of course I'll go to the birthplace of a mojito.
Yeah.
So I go to the Cuban pavilion and I talk to the guy, and none of them speak English really well. Okay. Like, and there was this really old guy, and I'm like, I'm here for the mojito. And there's no restaurant. So it's just like a small little kitchenette that they have. And I'm like, I'm here for the mojito. He's like, no. You know, I'm like, but here, like, you have it here. I wrote, you have the mojito. He's like, yeah, but he's like, it's no good with no alcohol. And I'm like,
like, that's the point. The whole point of Expo is that you can eat all the meat and still halal.
Yeah, no, but there were some places that were licensed in Expo, but they didn't get their license. And it's supposed to be, they're supposed to serve it virgin. This man was not happy. No, it's not good. It's no good. I'm like, please, I don't drink alcohol. He looked at me and he goes, okay. And he starts like begrudging you. Yeah. Making it like, why? But it was so good because they did it with cane sugar.
Okay.
So it does taste different.
Okay.
But yeah, he was just like, next time you need to drink it with alcohol. I'm like,
Haram.
yeah, like maybe in your country you could do that, but I don't do this.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the thing in the cultural differences. So now if he has that experience to share, he's like, no alcohol
Yeah.
in this expo.
Exactly. He'd be like, like I'm imagining he goes back to Cuba. He's like, can you believe it? They drank mojitos with no alcohol.
Exactly. Disgrace.
Yeah.
No flavor.
Yeah. Like, what an insult.
Exactly. No buzz.
Yeah. Look, we get buzzed on like other things,
Just life.
Life, exactly.
Do it. I get a major head rush because I stay there like at work because it's really stressful. Like I will go and I'll do 2 rak'ahs and I'll just like hang out in sujood just to like regulate my brain. I was just like, I'm so so compressed.
Yeah.
It just helps me decompress.
But you know that there's a science behind it. So like if you do a sujood, you're grounding yourself. So you're taking out that negative energy anyway. So
yeah, that's exactly. It is a good thing. Yeah, you just see me in there. There's a ladies' lounge like in the corner.
Is she okay?
I'm waiting for the dial-up to work. Yeah. Yeah. And then what was it like for your transition to housewife after Expo?
I thought I'm just going to take a few months to find myself and then I'm going to start applying for jobs, even though a lot of people were applying for jobs during event time. Like everyone's sending CVs. They're like, Shahid, you need to start applying from now. I'm like, no, I'm going to take a break. And they're like, yeah, you're going to take a break. I took this break and then it became really hard to find a job, especially as a Kuwaiti. It's not as easy to find a job because I'm not an expat and I'm not a local. I'm in the middle ground.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's harder to find a job. And I've had this conversation with many people. I once made a video about it and suddenly it went viral. It's so many people said the same thing. It's because you're not Emirati, so you don't fit into the Emiratization, but because you're not fully an expat, because we still have, like, there are some agreements that they have with, like, pension and all these things, and there's no visa. It's just different paperwork that companies are like, yeah, we don't want to get into it.
Oh.
Yeah, so it becomes a lot harder. So it was a very humbling experience.
Oh, wow. I had no idea.
Yeah.
This is my ignorance.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I like, a lot of people don't know. They're like, why don't you apply, whatever? And I'm like, it's actually really, really hard. And I've gotten rejected a few times, even though I was like headhunted. It'll be like, HR will be like, no, we want to fill this role with either an Emirati or we have a candidate, somewhere else. And I'm like, it's fine. Like, look, a lot of people assume that I'm like, oh, why is there Emiratization? I'm like, I'm so happy that an Emirati is going to get the job. But it's also sometimes very frustrating when you're not treated as an expat. Like, I would prefer to be treated as an expat as opposed to be treated as like that gray period, like the
gray area.
Yeah, like treat me as an expat, it's fine. I understand. But it's because there's that weird in between. A lot of GCC citizens have a hard time finding jobs in the GCC when they're not from that country.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. It's this is life. It's fine. So yeah, it was a very humbling experience. And then I remember once going to a family gathering and, they asked me, they're like, oh, so how's life after Expo? Like, how's everything? And I'm like, just unemployed. And someone turned to me and they're like, don't say unemployed. Just say you're a housewife. Like it'll, as if you chose it. I was like, I'm taking that.
Take the narrative. Yeah, because it is how you choose to present yourself and also, how you choose to be proud of it as well.
Yeah. And it started like becoming less embarrassing because it does feel embarrassing to say that you're unemployed, especially when you're actively searching. And then I started to dive into my content more. I mean, I created my content, like I've been in the social media sphere on and off since 2014, but like I never took it seriously. I just like shut down the account, start again, shut down the account. Yeah, like I don't ever do that. Yeah. And then during Expo time, I started my account again. And I posted all of the things that we couldn't post on the Expo page.
Okay.
So my team would be creating content, but there's also the TikTok team from TikTok creating content. And then there's also another agency creating content. And there's only so much content that can go out in the same day. Like, I think they had a limit of like 40 pieces of content to go out that day. And then everything else, even if we worked on it, like, halas, we need to move on. Something else is happening tomorrow. Because there's like literally 100 events a day at Expo. So I would be a little bit frustrated. I'm like, you know what? I'll take this video, post it on my page. And that's how I started. And people started following me from that. And then when Expo ended, I just continued that with like things to do in Dubai. Like, this is where I went to this restaurant, I did this, da-da-da. And slowly I started building content and people started like telling me they like my content. So when I became a housewife, I started focusing on my content, and it gave me that confidence to be a content creator because I'm no longer unemployed.
Okay.
I'm working, but I'm working for myself.
Content is a very underrated line of work.
Yeah.
Because it's also a newer generation. So the older generation is like, you're not really working. What does it take to switch on a camera and tell them? It takes a lot of prep work. And, you know, with your power of hyperfixation and research, it takes a lot.
It takes so much of your time. And it's just even shooting. Like, you know, the amount of times I have to shoot and reshoot. And sometimes I edit it and I'm like, I watch the video and I'm like, I didn't show up as I wanted to. So it's just going in the trash, you know? Yeah, it's hard.
Because I, before this as well, I was making aviation content, but then I wasn't sure how to go about it. So I just would switch my phone on, put on some makeup, and then just talk about different topics in aviation. And again, I'm not showing up as me and my bubbly self and who I am. It's literally robotic almost. So yeah, but I was like, oh, I don't have the time to reshoot, so I'm just going to put it out.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah. No, that's for me, like, it's so funny because I used to be so in my head with my content that I wouldn't post. And then there are like days go by when I don't post. And then I started challenging myself. I said, okay, I'm going to give myself 30 days. I remember it was Ramadan a year and a half ago, I think. So it was like 2 Ramadans ago. I said, I'm going to do a challenge. Regardless, I am posting. And I'm going to post a piece of content a day. This is just my challenge. And when I did that, I got out of my funk, like, you know, of like, this is not good enough, I can't post it. People, like, some of my shittiest videos are the ones that really, really well, you know?
Okay.
Or like when, you know, when I dress up and I kind of look very polished and stuff, like, khalas, I'm there. The video doesn't perform, but when I'm wearing a hoodie and my hair is like, you know, and like no makeup, whatever, suddenly it's like, hundreds of thousands of views. I'm like, I don't understand.
You know, just the authenticity.
Yeah.
You know, because in reality, that is how everybody looks. Like,
right.
The pre-interview Jouhayna versus this version that knows the cameras are going to be on and rolling.
Yeah.
Two completely different people.
100%.
You could see my eye bags with the satellite, you know?
No, but I appreciate that as well when I'm watching, but sometimes you just get nervous because you're like, oh, people I know are going to watch.
Yeah.
Once you get rid of that, like, anxiety that someone that you know is going to watch and judge you, like, you get up and do it.
Yeah.
You know, like, they don't have the confidence to do it, so why do I care what they think? You know?
True.
Yeah.
And so if we were to press fast forward in your life, what do you envision?
This is a hard one because I want my content to grow. I just don't know how, but I envision myself continuing in this field of work, you know?
Okay.
Where it takes me, I'm not putting pressure on that. Like, I'm okay with where it goes and how long it will take. I'm fine. But I think I just want to be happy and content.
That's,
you know?
the important thing.
Yeah. Like, and learning new things brings me joy. So I envision that there's going to be a lot of new things, but Allahu A'lam.
Exactly.
What that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Staycations and commentary. That's the box you tick with me at.
Oh, okay. I mean, we're going to keep doing that because I love staycations.
Exactly.
And I can't stop commenting.
Exactly. So at least for me, like, I know I'm just a tiny part of your demographic, but that's what I want. I'm telling you in person.
Girly, trust me, we're going to keep doing that because, like, I need to justify why I want to do a staycation.
Don't you just have like a saved group of going away with my habibi or habibti?
Yeah, no, but sometimes I'm like, let's do a staycation. My husband's like, do we need to? I'm like, it's for my work.
Yeah, exactly. So I need to work. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And also it's just nice to go away with your person.
Yeah.
You know, just to disconnect, because when you're in the day in and the day out, you are together, but you can miss each other, you know?
Yeah.
And it's not about like emotional missing, but you're just not aligning.
Right.
So when you just go away somewhere and it's just the two of you and you can just have like a little bit of fun.
You're away from all of your responsibilities, so it's like you're seeing the person for who they are, not with all of the responsibilities and the stress and all of these things. So yeah, I understand what you mean.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah. And because of that, like I can hardly sleep. Like even this morning, like I came out here and after my very dramatic sneeze of, you know, I was telling the team, I was like, oh, even though I'm on annual leave and it's like halfway through, so by now I should have fixed my sleep schedule. 3:03 a.m. every morning.
You're kidding.
Awake. And then I'm like, okay, maybe I'll just stay up till Fajr. And I pass out before that. I'm like, astaghfirullah.
Have you tried mouth taping?
Last night I was so snotty, so I think if I did that.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah. I mean, when you're fine.
I will try that. I will try that. I have heard about it, so yeah, let me see. I'll look into it.
I've had like insomnia for a long time, and using the mouth tape has actually helped me with my deep sleep.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and it helped fix my sleep schedule.
That's really good.
I know, just tape.
At this point, I will try anything. I'm a tired girl.
Just me, I know. Oh, okay. So I think one of my future opportunities that I'm working on, which will be launched soon, inshallah, is my podcast. So I'm going to be working my own podcast.
Okay.
And I'm so excited because it will encompass everything that I've been doing on my page, which is commentary. But it's, you know, it's with a little bit of cinema. It's with a little bit of personality. We talk about everything that's happening in the world or whatever my hyperfixation is for that week.
Exactly.
And it'll be on long form because, like, you know, you have such a limit on TikTok and Instagram. And I feel like I have so much to say sometimes, or like there's a deep dive.
Yes.
You know, like I've been wanting to do a deep dive on TikTok about like P. Diddy, but I'm like, oh, I have to do several videos.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But if you could do it in one go, then like it'll be better. So yeah, so we'll see. That's going to be my podcast.
Yeah. How far along in your planning process have you gone?
I'm well into it. We're just figuring out some technicalities.
Okay.
And then just figuring out how we want to launch it. I've got a good team with me, so I'm excited to see how that goes.
That's great.
But yeah, I'm excited. I'm very, very excited for it. Like I said, I'm excited for the opportunity to just start something new.
Yeah. No, I'm really excited for you. And, you know, when you take the plunge with it, let me know if you want any advice. Like, truly, I'm not a gatekeeper. I've got the podcast is not even a year old, but I feel like I've learned so much, not only from the guests, but even there's so much that happens in the background.
Yeah.
It's literally, I have 2 full-time jobs now. I have an air traffic controller and a podcast commentator.
By the way, no one tells you these things. Like, you think, oh, it's just a camera and a microphone.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you're close enough to it, it's fine.
Yeah, but sometimes even the microphone, like we're testing mics, I'm like, oh my God, I have to get another one. Or I have to get like something, like whatever that thing is that you have. Yeah. Don't know what it's called, but that thing. It's okay.
And this is why I delegated this task.
Well, we learn things every day.
Exactly. Today, I learned that you put the recorder on the table.
Yeah.
That you but keep it out of camera view because aesthetics.
No, but well, you learn something new every day. It's not as easy as it looks.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and even this podcast, it was me procrastinating years in the making.
Yeah. Well, good. Inshallah, one day you will be selling one day you'll be selling books and selling out the Coca-Cola arena.
Yeah, exactly.
And travel the world.
Yeah, can't wait. But thank you so much for sharing the way that you have. I truly love your energy. And I even mentioned this with Coral because she was the only other content creator that I've had on the show. It's so nice not to have you in bite-sized form.
Thank you for saying that. That's actually so sweet.
Because, you know, there are many content creators out there, and I feel like who you meet and who is online can be 2 different people. Yeah. And I'd be more authentic. Thank you. That's something, yeah. So that's why, like, even in the podcast before, I was just going with my network and who I've kind of like interacted with for a while online. And then people who I haven't met, I was like, okay, I think I need to pre-interview them because I don't feel prepared and I'd love to be prepared.
Yeah.
I'm a pre-planner of the highest degree. So, you know, even when we got on the call and it was a 30-minute Google Meet where we, you know, at least for me, I felt that it was very rough. You know, we just got along so well, and I was like so excited to meet you today. And this is the whole point of this podcast. It's to meet people, to learn, but not to only learn myself, but to share that knowledge. So thank you for sharing your lived experiences.
Thank you for having me, Willa. I've been like a fan for such a long time.
Really?
So when you said
time?
Yeah,
like,
no, because I know you from before your podcast.
Oh yeah, from my aviation account.
But yeah, and I've seen you in like, when you know, sometimes like it's a campaign or something. I'm like, oh no, this girl.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Because I don't think about that. I just show up, and then afterwards I'm like, I want an acai bowl. So that's about as far as my ideas go with campaigning. Like I don't think about what I've participated in. I'm just like, okay, I got the gig, I'm gonna do it, and then that's it.
No, I've seen you, so that's why when you're like, so I'm like, when I saw your podcast, I'm like, she's doing so well, and then you're like, come on the podcast. I'm like, she wants me. Yeah, I felt so honored, wallah.
Because you as I mentioned to you before, you've taught me a lot about things that stress me out, so I can understand it better. You know, you're like a breathing chat GPT for me. Like that's how I see it. But you research it. Like I don't have to doubt. Like you've done the research, so that I know when I'm watching, I'm like, it's like a little classroom lesson, but like voluntary, because classrooms were boring and growing up.
Thank you for this, wallah. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the kind words.
Yeah, you're most welcome. I'm very honest. You can ask the guys. I'm very honest. I would not. I'll just be like, thank you for coming.
And
I'll just end the dot.
Yeah.
And go like, all right, take
the door is that way.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, this is so much fun. Take me to a comedy night, like seriously.
I will bring you. I will bring you. You're gonna have so much fun.
Yeah, I'm excited. Because I feel like I would vibe with everyone, because I'm like so unhinged when I'm not recording.
Low-key, you need to start comedy. Because you're so funny. No, wallah, you're so like bubbly and fun, and you have this. Her side comments are so hilarious. I feel like you should bring that energy to stage, you know?
Yeah, like so far I've been very serious with my public speaking, and you know, even the events are really serious. Like I'm the one inviting like His Highnesses, Her Highnesses to the stage. So if I were to be like, like,
just do the class as well, just for funsies. You meet so many people, you have so much fun.
Yeah,
I feel like
maybe I'll do the class.
Yeah.
Ooh, exciting. I'll take the details from you later on. But everybody tuning in, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you had a good laugh and learned a little bit from Khadijat, Shahad. Just such a funny girl. Like I've had such a good time.
Well, I'm having so much fun. I don't even know what time it is.
It's been 72 minutes according to our kitchen timer. I know. Wait, it flew. Anyways, here's a sneak peek for next week.
What is a childhood memory that has helped shape you?
My mom caught me giving a security man the exact house location of where we lived.
Being with my mom has helped shape me for who I am today.
You're listening to me. Unless you want my best friend, my husband, and my mother to know, don't tell me things.
Asking for what I deserve.
If somebody can't change what you're about to comment on in the next 5 seconds, don't say it.
I always wanted to be Oprah.
My mom loves to scroll.
I thought you were going to be like, I'm going to be Jofra.